Okay, awesome. Well, welcome everyone. It's good to see some new faces out there and some of us that are on the weekly call. So welcome. I am super excited to welcome Vanessa from the AI for HR community. She is building a community that is fantastic. I know some of you on the call might be from the community or already have joined in conversations over there. And Vanessa and I started talking, I don't know, I feel like we've been friends forever, but it wasn't that long ago, right?
Yes. You know
And
what I'm
one of the
commenting.
first conversations we had, because we're both in the space of being non-technical people, we started talking about vibe coding and how she's worked doing it, and she introduced me to a tool how I'm doing it, and I've been able to dive in and create some fun stuff just to make life easier. And so, for example, a couple weeks ago, I was doing a leadership development training with a colleague of mine. He's like, "Oh, we should do a pre-assessment and then a post-assessment." And I was like, "I can vibe code that for you." And boop, boop, boop. 5 minutes later, we had a pre-assessment that we were sending to everybody. And it's super fun. And so it's usually something we reserve for tech people or people that have done some coding in their experience, but it's really something that is becoming um, easier for everybody to use. It's becoming nomenclature or a common tool. And I think in human resources, it can be a really powerful thing. I was speaking with another client too, and they're doing an engagement survey and getting feedback from their employees that the compensation structure or the bonus structure is confusing. And she's like, well, maybe we could have a calculator. And I was like, you could vibe code that. And so I invited Vanessa here to have a conversation with us and talk about how how she's using vibe coding, what she's seeing in the AI for HR space, and maybe even to do a little hands-on vibe coding so you can get a sense for how it works. So welcome.
Thanks, Michelle. Nice to see so many faces here. I'm Vanessa Gutierrez. Thank you for the introduction, Michelle. I'm actually based in California and between Austin, Texas as well. So back and forth. I am the founder of the AI for HR community that came about. Lots of great AI communities, lots of great HR. How do we mesh them together? I'm also the founder of HRPartner.ai. Currently, what we do is we help businesses clean up their data. Because you may have a great AI strategy. That's what we help with as well. But if you don't have clean data in one system, it's not going to work as you expect in another one. So that's HRPartner.ai. And I'm excited to talk about vibe coding. I do have a little presentation here, but do you want to go over anything else, Michelle, before we jump into that?
Go for it. You might have to ask me for permission to share, and I can give
Okay.
you that.
It said host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Does it give you the option to?
To ask
Oh,
permission.
yeah.
I don't think you can,
No.
I don't think you can change that on the fly, Michelle, but you can make her a co-host. That should
Oh,
cover it.
yes, that's what I usually do. Sorry, my
Oh,
brain is not working today.
thanks, Scott. I would
Let
have
me.
told everyone, okay, go out and come back in.
That would work too, maybe.
I just have to find you here. There you are. Okay. That's usually what I do. Co-host. There you go. Now you're good.
Yes. Thank you. Let me try it one more time. Let's see my window. Here we go. All right. I have my vibe coding window here. You see that? Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. So there's so many things I get really excited about this topic. So if I start veering off, Michelle, just say, let's get back to this. It is um, how exciting this is to me. I was on a flight back from Vegas last week. Someone was telling me about these commercial retail properties they have throughout this country, and they hadn't updated their website in probably 2 decades. And so I was like, give me your information. I vibe coded that on Saturday. I sent it over to them. Yesterday, I was helping my daughter pick up a lacrosse stick. The guy there was so knowledgeable, and I'll dive into this too. And right, I pulled out my phone and I'm like, talk to me about your business. And the platform I used recorded everything. In about 7 minutes, I created a website for him. So that's a little bit about vibe coding. This is why I get excited. But um, let me dive into like what exactly is vibe coding. I've already introduced myself there. So where we are today is there are so many ideas that we've had in the past and you wanted to build them, or we are individuals who are in HR and know the inefficiencies in our platforms today. And we all know none of these platforms can complete in the entirety the tasks that we want. I truly believe that there's a lot of technical debt out there in those platforms. And that is the reason why, as much as you go talking to their product team or your systems engineer at that company, they can't make it work, right? I really believe today we are the domain experts. We know the problems, we know the solutions that we need to see in this platform. So we are the ones that should start building. And you do not have to be an engineer. I never even took an extracurricular coding class. So I'm going to talk to you about vibe coding. Um, and the different platforms that are out there. So, vibe coding, what it is. Okay, this is a platform where you really just speak out loud your thoughts, your ideas, and it writes the code. And it's not just a website. I know I give websites as an example, but that's just the beginning. You can build out applications. You could build out HR systems. If you are dealing with something on your HR team that has to do with maybe surveys or performance management, or how do we start document employee relations cases, those are things that you can build. And I call it's probably, I need to think of another word for it, but it's just a complete, this is the term I want to use. It's a mind dump. So I will admit I rarely type anymore. I do a lot of voice to text. So when I want to start a new project, I will start with what is the problem? Who are the personas or users that would be involved in this entire scenario? And what are the outcomes that I would like? That is my starting point when I do vibe coding. So it's really just natural language to text, and those ideas are formulated.
And it can be like a stream of consciousness, right? It doesn't have to be, you can just say, I'd like to think of something like, I would like to put something together that is like this and have it work like this. And what else should it do? And it
Yeah.
puts it together for you.
And then as I'm speaking, I will say, oh no, I don't want you to do that. What I want it to do is this. So it's
Mhm.
okay. It doesn't have to be polished at all. Um, so how to
I've got a
maximize.
terribly sarcastic sense of humor. It sounds like Valley Girl coding.
Oh, that's a new one. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one, but yeah. Um, so we will do to maximize your vibe coding. This is what I want to talk about. Start with your LLM of choice. Okay. This is to maximize it. I will admit I skip this many times because I get really excited about just getting this ideas out of my head. But the best way to maximize your vibe coding, because tokens, you have to purchase a platform, right? And you purchase tokens, and those run out really fast if you start asking for a lot of small iterations. Use your LLM of choice, whether that's ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, whatever it is, and speak out loud and let it know what you're going to do, what you're going to put it into XYZ vibe coding tool. And the best format to do that. Talk about the design, talk about the structure, talk about all those personas that I had mentioned earlier. And then you ask for it to give you a brief. So a brief of what the pages would look like, the data models, the user flows, and any edge cases that would that pertain to your idea. And then you put it into a vibe coding tool. And my preference of choice is Lovable. Probably that's what I started with. I have tried Replit. I have tried Base 44 as well, but I keep on going back to my home base of Lovable. They've actually done a lot of upgrading recently where you can host your data sets on there as well. And I'll get into that in a couple other slides. And then number 4, what I mentioned is you want to iterate in these small slices. After you get that big dump in there and it builds out the preliminary design, you want to take a look at each page and ask it to make changes on that particular page. I have found if I try to say, do this on this page and do that on this page and do this, and you just give it that one prompt, it will mess something up that you
Un
didn't want it
segundito con
to
la
do.
pancito ese.
So that's, hi, Hednan. Okay. Then the next one, this is what I wanted to get to, is vibe coding doesn't really complete everything. If you want to do an application, what I mean by this is it gets you about 80% there. I have found in most of my projects that I want to put into production, I always have a developer come in and help me with the last push. Especially if you want to do something that is going to have a lot of users logging in. The reason why is you'll get to this point, and actually I have a few vibe coders as well that have vibe coded in Replit. Once they have it in production and they have like 30, 40 active users, they end up hiring a developer to offload this off of Replit, off of Lovable and such. But if you're looking for something every day that you can use, it's mainly for yourself, you don't, and it's a website, you can complete that 100%. And let's go to the next one. Okay. So Lovable has, and like most plans, start maybe $20 a month. And then as you use these tokens, it creeps up. And I will say these applications, these platforms are completely worth it. The reason why is I had an idea for an HR application years ago. And the quotes I was getting was 20, 30, 40,000. And you're working with a designer, you're working with a developer, and they're asking you, what is the copy, the words that you're going to use on your website? And what is the color scheme? What is the rounded corner radius on the button? And I'm like, I don't know, just show me like what my platform, what my application is supposed to do. So I spent thousands of dollars on that and I didn't get anywhere. And I started using Lovable. I just remember I was sitting on the couch and I was like, I need to try this. Let me just do it. And it was probably about two years ago. And I told it exactly what I wanted to build, and it built it from the front end, from the back end administrator point of view. And what was the aha moment for me and really lifted this burden of like, I know the work, I know the objective of this application is truly valuable, but how do I convey it? When I saw the website with the copy that articulated so clearly what was in my head, that was game changer. That changed everything. It made, I say, dreams come to life, right? There's so many things we have in our head, and how do we get them out, and how do we articulate them? And it was able to articulate so well on the homepage as to what is the problem and why the solution was built. And I know it's important for all of us to be able to convey that, but sometimes how do you write it? How do you articulate it so that it resonates with the person who's viewing your site? And Lovable did a phenomenal job of that. So, oops. So I wanted to go over some of the things that you can vibe code, your handbooks, your intake forms. I think, Michelle, you were just mentioning you did something for, I don't know if it was a client or a friend. I just get excited and love helping anyone as well. But uh, Lesia has also built some really cool tools. And within the AI for HR community, there's a ton of builders there. So, onboarding portals, your HRES dashboards, and as I said that, something came to mind. You can also code in Claude. So Claude has its chat, Claude has its co-work, and it has Claude Code as well. So to be very frank, I just used it once. I haven't, I'm so comfortable with Lovable, but I really do think Claude Code is a lot more powerful, especially if you connect it with your different tools within your HR tech stack to help you with those dashboards. Okay, this is a screenshot of my Lovable page, my Lovable account. And there's a term that we talk about having a vibe code graveyard. You know, you have all these ideas that come up and you just dump them out there, or you just want to show someone. So, not all of these are HR. I did vibe code my AI for HR community website here. My HR partner website is done here as well. As I mentioned, the lacrosse person yesterday, that's their website. The retail real estate website is there. My mom's friend owns a catering business. And I just want to empower and show people the power of this. So I love to just say, tell me what your business does, and for them to just see it come to life so well. And my daughter is a mix. She plays competitive lacrosse and also goes to school for film and television. And I was so conflicted about how to merge these ideas. Are they separate web pages, but it's one person? And Lovable captured that so darn well. So what I would encourage you to anything that you want to do, whether it's a website or an application, just really use these vibe coding tools. Um, Yesterday within the community, we had an open loop session where people just go in and have casual conversations, what they're working on, what they might need help with. And Crystal Feliciano, she's the vice president of HR at fragrance.com. And she showed us this employee communication calendar that she put together using Claude Code. Super, super great. She wanted all the holidays that are celebrated in one page. She wanted these newsletters to be generated in the tone, the feel, the look of the company. And she wanted them drafted by a certain amount of time and then to go out on a certain date. So she was able to put this together for her and her team to use. So anything is really possible. And I did want to ask, I don't know if you want to put in the chat or think about it, what are some of the tools that you have would love to create? And maybe we could open up Lovable and do a prompt and see how that goes. And while you guys do that, I did want to talk about a couple things here is the guardrails. You never want to paste any of like your PII information into this, just like you wouldn't into your ChatGPT or your Claude or any other LLM. This is the same exact thing. So consider that when you're putting information into any of the vibe coding applications. You want to, if you're doing something for your work, let your IT team, your legal team know. And of course, anything around governance, Michelle would be your go-to person on those items as well. But it's just like any other LLM. It's a different platform, but they're using a lot of those same models out there. So, are there any ideas here? Maybe we could jump in on
Looks like you have
this.
a couple. So, a handbook creation, a wellness campaign, employee action form. So hire, pay increases. So employee changes. That's a good one too. Um, and there's a
So
question
Dorothy,
here. Have you built any predictive analytic
Hold
reports
on.
using these tools?
I have not built any
Hang on, hang
predictive
on.
analytics tools here, but I'm sure we can do that as well. You would need data for that, right? So I don't know if that's something that we want to set up, or let me go to the chat. I can't see the chat. Um, there we
We've
go.
used it for our My Career Navigator, which some of you have seen. We've done the predictive stuff through there, but it's like Vanessa said, it's only a certain percentage of the Claude code that you're using it for. And then I'm fortunate that we have a developer that puts all the pieces together in the back end, and we do use data, valid data, not AI made up data to get to the predictive analytics. So you want to make sure whatever data you're putting in there is the data, the data you want to use, you put the data in there because you can't always rely on the data the AI is providing to be real data or hallucinated data.
Yeah, absolutely. I see Olga mentioned you can upload to Claude your company's brand and look and styles presentations. It will do that for you. And I just got an email in my inbox yesterday from Lovable. You could upload your branding to Lovable now as well. But as I'm thinking about this and saying it out loud, is like I have a Lovable account and I'm just used to that. But I also have 3 Claude accounts, and maybe I should start transitioning to Claude, right? Because there's where I have all my systems like literally connected to. So if I need any data information, I have it connected to another system. Maybe it automatically updates, right? What's on my application. So there's so many different use cases out there. But I do want to dump one in, but I don't want it to come from me. But I would like to actually record it because this is just what I love to do. I will actually be on calls like this, Michelle, with people, and "Oh, I really need to do that." And I go right here to Lovable and I turn on the microphone and they give me everything. I send it. We continue our conversation. And before we get off the call, I'm like, look, it is all possible. So maybe we have time to maybe do the initial prompt and just to see that output so we could get it going. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So who wants to go first? Let's see. A wellness campaign. Handbook creation would be appreciated. So this is a really good one. And anyone can do this. I've been talking to someone who is constantly having to update the handbooks for the different states. And we haven't started this, but something that we want to get started and build out so that it just automatically updates for her clients, and they don't have to be reaching out to her for anything. So, Joshua, do you want to, with e-signatures, so you would do some integrations if you use DocuSign. Joshua, do you want to tell us more about that project?
I'd be happy to. Yeah.
Can I record this on Lovable so that we could just get the whole, I guess, brain dump of the idea?
Yes.
Okay. All right. It's on.
So we have 9 different entities, and we're constantly moving associates for maybe pay increases, or maybe there's separation, or we're hiring on a new associate. And that's all being documented through a personal action form. But we're using paper copies right now where the manager has to print it out, the associate is signing off on it, the manager is signing off on it. We want like a one-click solution where the manager can fill it out, it sends to the associate for them to e-sign, and then it gets sent to HR to finalize it and then sign off on it itself.
I'm hoping it recorded that. I stopped seeing the little Uh, well, we didn't cover anything. Well, not, there's probably a lot more detail that I would add to that. And actually, the great thing about it is that Lovable does prompt you. Did it? Hold on. I have so many windows open right now. Did it look like it captured it?
I'm
Doesn't,
not sure.
but huh.
It was going. Maybe hit the enter button and see what happens.
And it said it was transcribing too, right?
Mhm.
If anybody had closed captions on, you could paste it in.
No. Oh, well, that's too bad. It didn't work. Okay. And of course, remember, this is just what I'm talking about, a brain dump, but it would be best to go into your LLM of choice and reiterate on that. But let's create a wellness plan, right? Let me see, or a wellness campaign. Um, Blair, what do you mean by a wellness campaign? Is this something that would happen like during open enrollment?
Yeah, or even throughout the year. I think a lot of HR practitioners are struggling with trying to send out valid engagement tools for employees to properly engage with like their medical plans, for example, or engage them in getting their preventive care done. So a wellness campaign sort of surrounded around some of the preventive steps that employees can take, and maybe helping to reduce some claims costs throughout the year.
Are you looking for this to be a website or an application for employees?
An application for employees, if possible.
Okay, and what kind of wellness information would it show? Is it like mental health? Is it physical health? Um, and what do you want it to do? Do you want them to be able to click on any of those items and pull up a calendar?
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, I'm just thinking like general wellness. Like it doesn't even necessarily have to be tied to any specific carrier, but maybe it's, mental health and physical health or, just any categories of health that could be helpful for employees. I'm just interested to see the output, I guess. It doesn't need to be anything super specific. Sorry if
Okay.
that's a confusing one.
No, not at all. I'm just hoping that Lovable captured this one. Well, it captured some of it.
Oh, very cool. And I wanted to ask a question, and I might have missed it at the very beginning. I hopped on late, so I apologize. But is this tool HIPAA compliant, or
Oh, I
can it
never looked
be?
into that. I've never looked into that. Is Lovable HIPAA compliant? I see Bobby nodding his head. Well, we
I
need,
don't know. Sorry, Vanessa. Yeah, I'm just curious with that same question. That's why I was nodding my head.
okay. Um, I don't know. And we know that Lovable recently had a breach, right, in their data there. So those are things that we need to always be on top of.
I would
Who
be cautious. I would be cautious about using, that's a great question, Blair. And I would be cautious about using any tool or putting any kind of PII into tools, as Vanessa mentioned, because unless you really know, and that could be a great question as you're looking at tools for AI and you're putting together your governance, is how are we going to use this? What information are we putting into it? Um, because yeah, I think those are important things. And then you have to also think about, GDPR and some of the other, and the EU AI Act and some of the local laws as well. Like Connecticut is launching a law around AI usage as well. So I think that's something to consider. And so I think it was on one of your slides, Vanessa, like bring your IT person into the loop, bring maybe even legal as well, depending on what you want to do. If you're just building out an employee form or something like that, like maybe that's simple enough. But if you build out something a little bit more in depth that might have benefits, if we're doing benefits analytics, that that the tool has the right guardrails and safety features.
Very
Mhm.
valid points. Thank you.
Yeah. So one of the things that it did, as you were talking, it did ask me a few questions about the application that we're building. I went ahead and I selected some of those options, and then it gives you um, a plan for the project. And if you want to do any iterations, you can go ahead and have that conversation. Remember to they have these options for plan, discuss before your build. So you could go ahead and have that conversation here, say, I actually don't want to do financial wellness. So that's where you would hear and have that conversation. I just hit approve for what was here, and now it's building that. So that's what it's doing on the back end. Are there any more questions with vibe coding?
Lashaya, is that how you say your name, said that Lovable is not SOC 2 or HIPAA compliant. So Blair, great question.
Yeah.
I just was going to ask, I use ChatGPT and Claude, but sometimes I ask stupid questions and I get garbage. So, is there for all this stuff, do you have like a validation process? Because I mean, checking all of this is a bit dull, but it's got to be done, hasn't it? I don't know. What do you think?
I think that was Vanessa, you can answer that too. I think that was to Vanessa's point. It's like it gets you 80% of the way there.
Yeah.
Right. And so that would, depending on what you're building, I think validation is really huge, and maybe having some other folks look at it. I don't know, Vanessa, what your process is.
So are you talking about the build plans, or are you talking about just the information it gives you?
Just at any point, is there something you think, oh, right, before you deliver it, do you have a thing where you say, okay, we have to go through this, just in case somebody else reading through it and says, what does this mean? And you think, oh, I didn't see that.
So here's a recent example of the hrpartner.ai website that I built out. I did think last minute, oh, I want to put this on, I want to put that on. And I realized that some of them said I offered 3 services, some I offered 4. So I said, go through my entire website, ensure that everything is concise and it is the same throughout. Look at the services, look at the tone, and everything. It went through all my pages and it found all the inconsistencies and went ahead and I approved those changes. So you do have to do that run through. When I first heard your question, one of the things I was thinking about is domain expertise. We have been doing this long enough to see what goes right, what goes wrong, right? If I'm doing a system implementation, my background in HR, I've done it all, building and scaling startups, but my love is really system implementations, integrations, and automation. So that tech side of HR. And because I have demoed so many products, because I have implemented so many products, I know what questions to ask. I know when I get an output that output hasn't taken into consideration 2, 3, 5 steps. And there's where I could go ahead and mold. No, this is what I'm looking to do. You didn't consider this, this, and that. And I know that because I'm a domain expert. And one of the things that concerns me is what happens to people who aren't domain experts and who are building in this area. Right. We continue to get garbage platforms, right? So that's one of the things I consider is we have to be building in an area that's our domain expertise to really understand whether or not those outputs are valid. Yeah. Yes. Let's see. How's it? Oh, we have the preview on. So we could take a look at this. So it created a well-being hub.
Wow. And so if you were to provide like the organization's branding and the logos and all of that stuff, that could all be applied to this. So that way, wow, that's really cool. Technology is insane, I'm telling you.
With that real estate broker that I was telling you about, I just went to his website and he had the flyers for his 5 properties. And I just uploaded those flyers. It had his name, it had the address, it had which spaces in the entire complex were available to rent. And just by those flyers was that massive website built out. So yes, you can do that. You could upload any of the flyers or documentation that your health provider has, right? If you're using United Healthcare, this and that, they have all these wellness packages and flyers. you could go ahead and put that here. So now it even has the dates of the events, where it's taking place, who's hosting this. Yes. So, I mean, this was so generic that we put together here, but it just shows the power of like where you could start, right?
Mhm. And there's no limitations on the industries that can be using this tool, it seems like.
No, but as Michelle said, you know, you with the health stuff or a PII, you might want to be careful with that. But this makes our dreams come true. I mean, it really does. It's empowering. It's really empowering. Yeah. Do we have enough time? Do we want to do one more?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We could see if we could capture another one. Who wants to give it a shot? I could just hit the record button when we're here. Well, I actually wanted to, let's see, invite some people to, never mind. This is the back end here. Let's go back. Okay, does anyone want to just do a mind dump here of an application, and we could go ahead and see what the output is?
You made a comment with regards to the handbook and the nuances of handbooks for different states, given the laws or the employment information that pertains to Rhode Island versus Tennessee versus wherever. Could you showcase a quick example of a handbook build, recognizing that there are those state-to-state nuances?
Yeah, so I want to build a handbook. It's not a policy updater. What do you?
Great. Along those lines, yeah, a handbook that would refresh as a state, for instance, Tennessee, revises its employment law tied to minimum hourly wages and so forth, so that there is a mechanism in place that prompts me as the coordinator of all of the content in the various handbooks around the country to make sure that those are timely and legal.
Okay. We're going to go with that prompt. There's a lot of things coming into my head right now, and the reason why is I don't know completely the full back end of Lovable and what it's connecting to. We could go ahead and create different agents and processes within Claude that does this. For example, the newsletter from my AI for HR community. We set something up in Claude Code where it literally just scans all the events happening within the community, and it creates a newsletter, right? So it needs to draw information from somewhere. And that's what I'm thinking about. Us vibe coding this, it's a start. Is it working? Oh my gosh. Crap. Oh, here it is. Oh, I don't know if I'm sharing the right one. Is this one working? You see it working right now? Yes or no?
Not yet.
Yes.
Not-
Looks like it's doing it. It's doing
Is
something.
this friendly guide?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and now it's populating some questions. So we need to identify and tell it where we want it to find these resources from, right? And that's not something that we explicitly gave instructions to do. But what you're talking about is not impossible. And actually, that's something I would probably do within Claude Code. Just thinking about our newsletter and how we did that. So what kind of handbook are you building? An employee handbook?
Correct.
Who edits the handbook content? Just the admin or a small team? Just the admin?
Sure. Admin.
Okay. And then what are the must-have features? Search, table of contents, user accounts, comments, and feedback. Maybe we'll do these three.
Sure.
If we set this up, it takes us down another rabbit hole. Not an impossible one, but we'll have to be setting up user accounts. All right, then we'll see what happens with that one there. Yeah. And I do want to put in here, I'll put it in the chat. If you want to sign up for Lovable, you could use that link there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So when you sign up with that, you get 10 extra credits. Yeah. All right, is it asking more questions? Oh, is it done? That was fast.
Yeah. For purposes of a bilingual application, does this have the opportunity to put that handbook in Spanish?
I'm sure it will. It will. Well, that's working. Let me show you this one. So I have two teenagers. They watch different YouTube channels, and one of them is how to make money off of like these small, boring businesses. And this is one that they recently worked on, is we found an underserved market, which is people need to rent washers and dryers if they live like in an apartment. And the primary users of those here in California are Hispanic markets. So we did some research, and when we were looking at SEOs, there's not a lot that is a secadora, which is dryer, or lavadora, which is washing machine. So we were like, oh, smack. There's like millions of searches, but they're not in Spanish. It's just washer, dryer, and rentals. So we made this one here. Did it show the second window?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
It did. Okay. So we created this, and of course, my children understand Spanish, but they don't speak it. So we did everything, this knowledge dump here, in English, and then we had it translate to Spanish. And I reviewed it, and it did a phenomenal job.
Mm.
Yes.
Se ve.
So it's
So-
it's possible.
Did they go ahead and do the business then? Your
They're looking for washers and dryers on the Facebook Marketplace right now.
teenagers?
Yeah. But I told them, first go live with this, see what hits you get. I could go pick up a washer dryer same day. Like, what we just need someone to install it.
Mm.
That's what we do. So when it comes to Spanish, it shouldn't be a problem at all. And then they put in, the zip code here. So 77001. This is, and then they could set up the date for delivery.
Wow.
Set up the date for delivery. And they wanted them to at least put like, I think, a $25 deposit, or at least that's what they were talking about, just to ensure, that this is a legit thing and that they want to do. So they also upload identification here, and they could do a checkout. Let me see if we could check out. I don't know what screenshot I'm using here. And then think. So it has the contract. It helped us translate the contract. You accept the terms, a signature, continue, and then you would just hook up a Stripe to here to do your checkout.
So this creates all the code, and then, I mean, does it facilitate hosting as well, or what? How does that? Do you upload the code to a hosting site, or?
No, I connect it here. So when you go to publish, I haven't published it yet. This one would go to, or this is the Happy Guide one that we're on. You could connect it to your domain. So, for example, I bought my URL on GoDaddy. So, what I did is I went into GoDaddy, looked at my domain, and went to the DNS files. And actually, Lovable, once you say you want to connect it to your own domain, it automatically gives you exactly what you need to copy from Lovable and paste into GoDaddy. And I waited about 10 minutes and then my site was hooked up. So now I could go to hrpartner.ai and it's just running off of this. And what's great is that if I want to make a change, I just go back in here and I make that change. I don't need to call someone or pay someone to maintain my website. I could do it same day. And I do know people right now that started their businesses a long time ago and are just like, that's the way you do it. They're still paying people $100 a month to just be there in case they want to update a menu item on their website. Like, why? I should be able to do that from my phone and say, oh, I'm adding this to my menu. Add it, publish, go. So that's the power. Oh, what happened? Why did you stop? Awaiting further instructions. It doesn't say what happened. I'm just going to say allow build. I don't know why it stopped. There's something in the queue.
To your question to Armando, there's somebody in the chat that says they do vibe coding in Croatian using Claude, and they give the instructions verbally, and it works surprisingly well. So you could maybe even give instruction in different languages. Does
Thanks,
anybody
Michelle.
Happen? I don't know what happened. Anybody else who uses Lovable? What did I do?
If you scroll up there, does it say anything? Or is it just the prompt?
Oh, okay. Now it's, I don't know. I did a quick refresh and some stuff. Try again. Yeah, none of this is perfect. And like I said, this was just for time purposes. I wanted to just do it right here within Lovable, but I would always go into Claude or ChatGPT and really refine what I'm trying to do. And like I said, I want an admin portal. I want to log on. I want my user to be able to log in. This is what I would like for them to see on their dashboard. The admin will have this access. The admin should actually have a panel where they could add users as well. So those are the things to think about, is really think about what you're trying to build. And if you're trying to build something for your HR, really think about that admin aspect too, and your access level controls, right? Who is going to get access to what information? So I'm sorry, I don't know what happened here. Clear queue, restore. It was working well.
Keith, to answer your question, you should be able to do the redo on either Claude Code or other things, and then use the hosting link from Hostinger for your website, as Vanessa showed, when you publish it, and it should publish it there.
Okay.
Yeah, Hostinger is a great tool, but it's not super sophisticated. We use that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just need updates and I don't want to pay anybody to do it after all these years. It's once you get the website done, it never ends up being what you want. And you pay people to do that and you're just like, that's not what I want. That's not what I need.
Right. What's great
Yeah.
with vibe coding is you can start with something and tweak it. And as you look at it and start to use it, say, oh no, I don't want it to do this, I want it to do that. And you can quickly go in and change it in real time.
Let me show you. Here's another thing. is you can build prototypes out a lot faster. Well, that's working. I hope opening new windows didn't like stop this because I do want to be able to show that. So, prototyping, I have a really hard time thinking like in wireframe designs. So, in working with a client and building something out, you don't need to do wireframes designs. I was using Visily like probably 3 years back, and that didn't work. It was too much of connecting to Figma. And once again, what's your color scheme for your theme? And what is the font and the color of each font for heading 1, heading 2, all kinds of stuff. It just was crazy. Sometimes you just want something basic, right? So this is something I vibe coded as well. This was my initial prompt, I think. I don't know how long that was, but I haven't done a lot of iterations on this. It's just like an HRIS that I was trying to build out. What would it would look like on our dashboard? And how do you talk to your agent here? And what are the outputs? What does it look like for a pay summary? And of course, this would be linked up to something else. What would employees see for your benefits page? What does an org chart look like? How do you easily find your coworkers' information? Who's on their team? What has their career been with the company? What are their certifications? Also, what does document management look like? Tell me right up front, like what we need to do, what action items, and then how do you set up and personalize your information? So all this is possible for us to do. And of course, this isn't something that's being put into production. It's just, how do I prototype this and then work with someone else to build? We're not going through the whole, what color? When I click here, what is it supposed to do? Goodness gracious. Yeah. So you could do any of that there.
Your example made me immediately think of all of the wonderful interactions I've ever had with attorneys. Building something that says, here's what I want to accomplish. Know your role. You are a mechanic. You are not an advice giver. Here's the end result that we want.
Have you tried that?
I have not. I mean,
Yeah.
I've done it, but it's annoying if you just say that to somebody. So, if you
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what's going on with this one here, but I was able to, what's happening here? Okay. So I think the prompt didn't capture everything you had said. Now that I went back to look at it, it just says, I want to build a handbook.
There it is.
And it didn't capture anything, the rest of the conversation there. But I just wanted to show you guys like anything is possible here. And I encourage you all to go into Lovable or try Claude Code as well and build something out. As I was showing in my presentation, Crystal Feliciano from fragrance.com, she uses Claude Code for work. And that's where she was able to build out that communication plan for her team. So I'd love to see what you guys end up building off of these platforms at some point. Maybe share with us, on LinkedIn what you've built. But it's exciting. And here's another thing. Don't be afraid to publish your work, right? The reason why I say that is because people aren't going to have your URL, right? They're not going to find it, but I love to look at it to see what my app looks like on mobile, on tablet, on web. And then when I'm ready, I share it with the world because you're going to have website.lovable.app, so publish it, work with it, reiterate, and then eventually you could hook up your domain name to it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you, Vanessa. Any last comments or questions? I do want to say before we get to any of that this program has been pre-approved for one general HRCI recertification credit. So use code 742043. And I'll turn it over to any questions in the last couple of minutes. Let's see if we missed any in the chat.
Thank you. It's been very interesting. I'm going to go and have a go.
Wonderful.
Good.
I'm happy to hear that.
We should have a part 2, a Rebels vibe coding for HR part 2, like a show and tell. Show us what you built.
Show what you've built. Show it off. Put screenshots of it on LinkedIn. Share what you're building. It's just so empowering out there.
Michelle and Vanessa, this was amazing. Vanessa, if you could share your email. I know it was in one of the chats, but it cut off.
Yeah, I'd happy to do that. Oops,
I have your LinkedIn too. I'll throw that on there. I just had it up.
Yes, there we go. It's kind of, long. Sorry, I think I put .com 2 times. It's just once. Just one .com. Yeah, Vanessa.Gutierrez at AI4HRcommunity.com. Yes.
And I put your LinkedIn in there as well.
Perfect. Yes. Follow me on LinkedIn. Feel free to ask questions via email or LinkedIn. I'm always happy to help. I love this. I feel like it's really inspiring, and I hope you're all inspired too to build. And I will always go back to right now is our time as domain experts to build and monetize on what we build, because this up here nobody can replace. So go out and build, and then reach out to me and we'll talk about how do we monetize on this stuff. Yeah.
Vanessa, there is a question in the chat. Have you been able to share this within within SharePoint or an intranet? I know there's a hosting link, but have you been able to or seen somebody do that?
To host this within an intranet.
So
No.
if they created a wellness portal, could they then move that from Lovable to an intranet?
I have not seen that. I'm actually working with a group, and their go-to-market team has actually built something on Claude Code, and I don't know if they connected it to SharePoint yet. But that's a really good question, especially if your company is working off of like Microsoft 365, your company has Claude Code. Maybe.
My only
Yeah.
comment, just for the heck of it, is kind of Scott's. I think our attorney fees and legal fees are going to be tremendously reduced. I hardly need any attorney oversight with all the stuff that we've done for years, Scott, and just the final document for review instead of having to pay a law firm to write the legal stuff. It's unbelievably great.
It is. I use it too for legal. My brother, he's in commercial real estate, and he and his group of friends, they're all investors. They are knowledge experts too, because they know this, but they could run a lot of information about properties and legally and easements and this documentation from the city, what's permitted, what's not permitted, all of that through, get that preliminary documentation together and take it to the lawyer. And instead of paying the lawyer, 70,000 or so, is like, okay, I'll pay you, 7,000 to review this. It's a great disparity. I mean, it's huge. It's huge. I use it for get preliminary information for my lawyers in different areas as well. It's a game changer. But be careful of what you put in there, okay? I have a feeling, I was talking to someone who's going to be doing a talk with the AI for HR community on employee relations, is even though you're redacting information, you could still be subpoenaed for your transcripts in regards to that case with your LLM. So it's, everything is so new. Everything is so new. So just be careful what you're putting in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Michelle.
Take care.
Bye-bye.